hop right into this. We'll just kind of talk about the deck on the way, and then yeah, we'll just try to like synthesize what I think about the deck as well as see how it plays. Okay, so Goblin of Delver, Modern League, and Ascendant. All right, let's join this. There we go. Play League match. Resize this. Locating opponent in stage 1. Alright, and we have found our opponent for this round. Okay. MTGO being a wonderfully bugged application once again. Okay, well, I won the die roll, which is a good start. What do I think about this hand? I think I'll play this as a keep. We have ways to find threats, and then we do have like some interaction. But the bin is definitely a little clunky. I think especially if I do settle on running Goblin Guide or Monastery Swift Spear come Modern Horizons 2, I'm definitely just going to try to stick with the 8 fetch approach. Or Shivan Reef if I'm on a budget, because these pathways do not play super well with wanting red really a lot on turn 1. And same thing goes for Phoenix of Ash, right? It pushes us a lot further into red, which is fine. I don't have an issue with being further into red, but being further into red does have its opportunity costs. Okay, well, he found a Bolt, which is probably pretty bad in this matchup. But to be quite frank, I'm not entirely sure what this matchup is. And I think Phoenix of Ash is going to be pretty good. Okay, so they play Rogrin and Ketria Triome. So I think this is just 4-color Omnath. But I don't know what they're holding up here. I'd imagine it's not a whole lot. We're kind of scared of them casting like a Teferi or something. But I'm not so scared that I'm going to just do nothing. So we're going to just get our threat onto the table. Bash them for 2. Okay, they're down to 18. They get to untap. The worst thing they could do is play Teferi. Dryad's really bad for us too, but we have a snag. Okay, so they have Teferi. But Teferi's not disastrous because they could bounce, but then we could just replay Phoenix and then kill it. So it's kind of like a time walk for them. But Time Walk for them is not the worst exchange for us, I don't think. Just cast the Serum Visions. We're going to look for... Yeah, Mana Leak is exactly what we're in the market for. Put Iteration on top, though, just because it's... something that's nice to have. This is definitely one of the matchups where we'd like to be seeing Phoenix. It does kind of have its merit over Brazen Borrower or Snapcaster Mage here, because you could just sort of jam it in turn 3, especially on the play. And then just see how our opponent reacts to it. This is fine. We have so many snags for this. And like, it's really only an issue with Valakut. Like, it ramps them now, which is obviously not great for us. So we have another iteration on the top. I'm actually fine with just ditching this iteration, I think. If we had Counterspell in our deck, I'd be less inclined to do this. But since we have Mana Leak, we kind of need it to be active. And this is going to put them +2 lands. So they can cast, like... Omnath through Mana Leak. And I'd preferably want them, like, more dead before, it's really an issue. Okay, I think we're just gonna hit them for 2 here. I think we're just gonna snag the Triad. We'll pass. We're probably looking to just Mana Leak the Triad if they play it now. If they play a land and then Triad, it obviously sucks for us. But, like, what are we supposed to do about that? There's not, like, a whole lot there for us. But Triad's just kind of hard for us to beat. And then hopefully this is their only gas as well. Otherwise we get to untap, just jam this iteration, like maybe find another counterspell. So they play a Bog. Sure. We're off Terramanders, so Bog is definitely a little bit less scary. Because before it would just leave our deck with a ton of flying men. Okay, so let's just cast this iteration now. Yeah, it's important if we hit something like a Goblin Guide. So we'll go hand, bottom, exile. Then we'll just jam this Goblin Guide. Go to combat. Swing. Worth noting this Goblin Guide does more damage than a Swift Spear even now. Okay, opponent does hit a land. It's an island with what artwork? Okay, yeah, they're just going for the full Pokemon setup. I mean, I respect it. If they play an Omnath here, I think I'm snagging it in response to its ETB. And then if they play Escape Shift here, we're obviously just dead. So, but our opponent, we have a decent amount of damage on the table. They're dead on board. They don't gain any life. Like, Bring to Light for Niv Mizzet isn't super scary here because they don't have a whole lot of mana to do anything with it. And then we just get to snag it. And then Triumph plus Island also doesn't really cast anything scary. So yeah, they can Bring to Light. 5 colors. I mean, this is just got to be Niv Mizzet. Omnath. Okay, again, and a 5 mana Omnath too? Super not, I'm not scared of it at all. Okay, I think we're just going to snag this in response. Again, our opponent can't really have a whole lot here. And then this lets our Goblin Guide connect. And we need them to not follow this Omnath up with a fetch land. Otherwise, they get a ton of mana, and then we could potentially be fucked. Okay. So at this point, we're looking to just buff Phoenix and then try to go for the win. We also have 4s. I mean, I think we just have to go for it. They have Island and then 4 Unknowns in their hand. I think we'll just go for it. See what they have on top. They have a fetch land. Just bolt them. I don't think they have an out here. Okay, perfect. So we won game 1 against what I don't really know what it is. I think it's just a 4-color control deck. We didn't really see any black. They've just got the it's just Omnath, like Teferi, etc. This matchup Tailsense really good. If they're on Scape Shift, then Gust is really good. Test of Talents is kind of like, this is its matchup. But Boyle is fine against Dryad. Shoal is a little bit lackluster here, and then Gust is fine, but the issue is we have to make cuts. Snag is obviously like against Omnath, and I'm kind of interested in just saving 1. I like Dispel here. I mean, honestly, I don't really like Bolts a whole lot. We're going to shave 1. It's good for just burning our opponent out, but that's about it. Darn, if this hand had a land, it would be really fucking solid. Okay, this hand's fine. We have 3 lambs, and then one of them doesn't get boiled. We have 2 iterations. I think we're going to keep, and we're just going to bottom this Flooded Strand. If our opponent doesn't have interaction for this Goblin Guide, it could actually be pretty good for us. The scary thing is that Triad is very good against Goblin Guide. It just lines up so well against it. Reclaimer lines up pretty well against Goblin Guide too. I'm definitely scared of a Flagstones on 2 here, but there's not a whole lot I could realistically do to play around that. So we're going to just play Goblin Guide on 1, and then we're going to hope to... wow, our opponent has just hit off of every single Goblin Guide trigger we've played so far, or we've done. Even though the true proportion lies closer in like 1/3 of the swings with Goblin Guide are going to reveal the land. Opponent has no Flagstones. Instead, they're playing another 1/2. So we do have to be cognizant that they're going to double block this Goblin Guide this turn. So, I mean, I'd like a Bolt for that. Force. I mean, we kind of just have to pass here, honestly. As much as that sucks. Yeah. I think we just have to pass. Maybe this is fine. Maybe we could just play River Glide Pathway even in our Goblin Guide deck. Seems a little weird though. Because even in the situations where we have to just have the mountain, then our counterspell gets clunky, but we still have a turn 1 mountain, so it's not that bad. Yeah, I mean, we just have to pass here. We don't really have a way to punch this guy through. I did not expect the Reclaimers in the force that they're in. Because we saw the Wildfires game 1, so I understood they were on Flagstones plus Wildfire. I didn't think they were on Flagstones plus Wildfire plus Reclaimer. Also, a lot of these lists have been migrating away from Reclaimer. Not to say that all of them have or anything, but a fair number. So we're probably just jamming this iteration this turn. Feels pretty bad though. We could also just play second Goblin Guide. Our opponent can actually block, and then they have 3 lands in their yard. That's so rough for us. I think we just have to jam this iteration. This feels really bad though. I think our opponent has us pretty locked this game. We hit a snag, but we don't hit a land. I think we have to take Sprite Dragon because it's the only thing that can actually connect with our opponent. So they're going to get Jeskai Triumph here. No. So they're going to sack this Plains. For sure. This makes me feel like they're on either Baloth or... This is Scapeshift. I mean, honestly, it makes sense that they're Scapeshift to a lesser extent. I haven't seen the 4-color Scapeshifts a whole lot though. Yeah, we might just be scooping this. I mean, this just sucks for us. These Reclaimers are so fucking large. I think it's definitely a premature concession if we just have to tap out here. And I'm interested in playing this one out. I think we'd just jam this Sprite Dragon. The issue is it looks like they have a mana leak. There's no real playing around that though. We didn't draw a land. They don't have a mana leak. Okay, if the Sprite Dragon's able to connect, that's pretty good for us. We could pass the turn. Hello, hello? Skill. Oh, they're just stacking flagstone? Sure. Our opponent has a lot of mana. I'm definitely concerned about Scape Shift, but we also have Force Pitching Leak for it. Yeah. We're not beating this all again. I wasn't counting how many lands our opponent had in play, but it doesn't matter. We can't play around that. Other than casting Iteration, trying to hit lands, and then trying to Armageddon them. But we already whiffed on the other iteration, so that plan kind of just went down the drain really fast. That was game 2. So now we're on to game 3. We won game 1 though. So I think knowing they have Reclaimer means I want this 4th Bolt. Our opponent also doesn't really seem to be playing any instants. I'll keep Tails End in, or sorry, Test of Talents in, because of the possibility they're playing Scape Shift. I think it makes sense there. I need to familiarize myself with some of these lists though. This curve seems great. They've hit a land every single time off of our Goblin guys. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, if they have no removal spell, yeah, they have to discard for turn. Pog. Opponent discards the hand size. They have no removal for a Goblin Guide. And they have no Reclaimer. I think between Goblin Guide and our Sprite Tracker, we might actually be able to run away with this game. Okay, so we'll draw. I'll play this. Okay, like I could hold up Tails on to wasteland them here, which doesn't sound terrible. Because they're probably going to get red Triome. Okay, they fetch before, sure. Because they're definitely just lining up to... Oh, they're killing it now. Interesting. Bring to light on top. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Test of Talents counters Bring to light here. They do bolt the Goblin Guide. Interesting. Not they leave the Sprite Dragon in play. It's definitely a choice decision by our opponent. Yeah, it could have been better to just Tails End this fetch, prevent them from wildfiring their flagstones. I think that line's like, it just leaves us super light on gas because we drew a land and we kept a 3-lander. I think if we draw a spell, either for turn or off this opt, we'll be in a pretty good spot. If we can grow this dragon out of bolt range, that would be pretty great too, because I think they played bolt and some number of Helix. But I could be mistaken. Again, I'm unfamiliar with their deck. Absent Triumph? No. Maybe it is just 5-color Scape Shift. Like 5-color Scape Shift is my guess as to what they're playing, but I have no idea. Okay, looking for a mana leak, if not this one. I mean, it's not terrible. This will grow it out of bolt range, at least. I think we're just going to have to hope this is good enough. Our opponent can Teferi us next turn. Yeah, I think we're just going to go to combat and hit them for 3. We'll keep the bolt in hand because it plays around them having Teferi a little bit better. Our opponent has no green mana, which is just bizarre. So they do have the Teferi, sure. So this is fine. We could have held up the tail zone for this, but I wanted to grow the Sprite Dragon by a little bit more, which is probably a mistake, to be completely honest. But I think we'll just play the Sprite Dragon, kill the Teferi, and then pass the turn with Tails End up, and then we'll try to counter their Omnath. They'll play off the Spring to Light, maybe. But that's only if they have a Rune Source. We have Tester Talents now, too. And if we get to test or challenge their Bring to Light, that means we can look through their deck as well. And this will also be a 2-2, and they'll be tapped out. So we want them to cast their Bring to Light this turn. They've also played this Flagstones, so. Well, that's annoying. I mean, it resolves. I think we have to Tails of the Falcat trigger. But this sucks so much if they just have another land in their hand. But I think we do have to do it. Dryad's just so, like, egregiously powerful. Okay, so they exile our Yard, which is fine. Just, we need to pray they don't have another land. Reclaimer, sure. Okay, they don't have another land. Okay, well that was just about best case scenario for us. I think there was a very high chance that we were just dead there. We get the Serum Visions. And then if this trigger resolves... Okay, yeah, I don't think our opponent has a Bolt. Bottom, top. So this is 3, 4... And then Bolt is 5. I mean, this is hypothetically lethal. Right? Yeah, this should be lethal. Woo! Okay. Match 1, we got the dub. It might have been a little bit scuffed, but we got the dub. And I think that was 4 or 5 color skip shift. But it's so hard to tell, honestly. Like, those decks, I feel like the difference between that and the 4 color control decks are just so minimal. And it's so hard to just, like, figure it out until they scape shift, yeah? Like, really the only difference is that one of them runs... I guess 4 color control doesn't run Dryad. So I guess the big difference is that, like, Niv Visit wouldn't be running Cleansing Wildfire because it's not a multicolored spell for Niv. And then 4 color control doesn't play those cards either. They play more heavy in blue. So I think it had to be Scape Shift. Okay. Always feels weird to, like, figure out what your opponent's playing, like, after you finish the match. Die roll, would I like to play first? Yes. Sprite Checker was a great top deck there. And wow, like, I just love how aggressive this deck is. It makes me so happy. Our opponent is playing... mono red Obosh Prowess. We're going to lead off on Fetch Shock Goblin Guide, because this allows us to Delver plus Bolt turn 2, which I think is pretty important here. Jesus Christ. Alright, that's a spicy one. Not sure if this is a one-of, or if our opponent's just not on red prowess and they're on something else. But I think it's very safe to just pin them on red prowess. So we don't get rewarded for our mana sequencing. But I think that's fine. I think I'd rather Sprite Dragon and I'll just Delver on 3. I love how aggressive this deck slants, but I'm still able to play like the same disruption package. And Goblin Guide is so good here. Like, Swift Spear is obviously good in this deck, but the amount of turns where I'm not casting non-creature spells is just too many, I think. Hard to say definitively there, but... like, I'm passing the turn, or I'm just, like, casting creatures and then passing. Okay, they have Flame Slash, too. Wow. Jesus Christ. Like, maybe this is just mono-red Obosh mid-range. If that even makes sense. I think I'll fetch an island here. Island plays around Blood Moon. It means we can't cast like a Phoenix of Ash off the top, but that's fine. Okay, we got another blue card for Force, which is good. I don't think we want this land. I think we're just going to top the iteration. Say go. They don't kill at end of turn. Okay, perfect. Now we can force whatever they play on their turn. Assuming they play something. They have the Hammer of Bargardin. Bargardin Hammer. So they might just fire that off. And I think I'm fine with exiling that with Force. Because then we get to untap, flip Delver, and then cast Iteration. Yeah, this is also good to counter. Our opponent obviously has one extra mana, but... okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. We have the... I still don't really know what they're playing, but... oh, I was going to say, if we hit a Goblin Guide, we were going to be sad that we fetched an island and not a Steam Fence. Oh, no... okay, we'll go hand, bottom, exile, and pass. We'll just be kind of sad pandas. Mana Leak's fine. I don't know. Our opponent has just had removal spell after removal spell for us. It's been kind of rough. And they have the Blood Moon. Okay, so I think we were correct to fetch the island, though. Okay, so they hit us for 2. Sure. Okay, we draw. Honestly, land wouldn't be that bad. This is just awkward. We'll probably just kill this. Pass. His Force isn't doing a whole lot. Like, I'd rather just play the Goblin Guide with Force backup, because we know they have removal anyways. They're going to call Obosh into their hand. So they've got Obosh, Hammer, plus 2 unknowns. If we draw a Mana Leak, that would be nice. No Mana Leak. I think I'll be jamming the Goblin Guide, because they're just going to spend their turn Oboshing, I think. And they hit a land for their Obosh, too. Rough. And they have a Bolt. Holy shit. Our opponent just has all of their removal. That's just an egregious amount of 1 CMC removal. Who runs Flame Slash, Bolt, Stomp? Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I guess their deck has to load up on a ton of 1 mana removal because they're playing Obosh. But geez, that's just crazy. I don't have a 5 CMC for that. Had to be playing like Turn and Burn or something. I think we're probably going to concede here. We just don't really have a way out from this Obosh. We'll play one more turn though. Like maybe we hit like iteration into snag or something. Can get us out. But like we'll be taking 6 from this turn, going to 8. And then we're going to force the hammer and then just see if that's good enough. So we've seen the mountain they played. We've seen the Obosh they played. We still haven't seen hammer. Hammer's kind of metal. Hama. Opponent 3 cards. Got hammer, 2 unknowns. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're basically forced to counter this. I feel like we're pretty out of this game. Wow. Honestly, if I was our opponent, I would have just fired these at our face. Yeah, they hit us for 6, we go to 8, and at this point, since we don't even have the Delver in play, our opponent's at an egregiously high life total. We're just dead. There's no way we can beat this resolved Obosh. I am surprised they had so much 1 mana removal though. This is kind of absurd. I'm still trying to figure out like exactly what I'm supposed to do against all of that, because that's just a lot. Honestly, Test of Talents doesn't seem terrible here. Like, even exiling like a Lightning Bolt isn't terrible. Snag seems fine. Dispel seems fine. I don't know. Pitch spells against companion decks just generally feel pretty bad. Because they just have so much card advantage. By just playing an 8th card that they just get every game. I don't know. I have never seen Hammer or Boggart in though. That just sounds wrong, like Boggart in. I feel like I'm just saying it wrong. Well, we're down a game. You get to be on the play again. I mean, our opponent just had this killer amount of 1-mana removal for all of our creatures. I mean, it's almost like we have to play the control deck here, because they just don't have... I mean, like, part of me wants to keep this, but I don't think we can keep without a creature or a... I mean, like, we can keep this. The issue is, like, we're just the beat down with the sand. Which is fine. I mean, like, we could probably make it work on the play. We tried last game and it didn't really work. Also, being on the play and mulliganing down to 6 when your opponent has 7 is actually really hard. You just have so many more cards than you. Like, being the aggressor is just impossible, basically. We do get to kill this, which is not nothing. So it's pretty good tempo-wise for us. He casts this Sprite Dragon. If we hit a land next turn, then we can really start going to town on our opponent. Opponent's at 19. We really need to fade a Lava Dart here. Yeah, because our opponent runs Slash, Dart, Bolt, and then maybe Firebolt as well. Maybe they're running Hammer instead of Firebolt. I don't know. Hammer just seems like a bad choice for their deck, but I don't know. Could be wrong. Okay, well, opponent is doing absolutely nothing. Okay. And they're running Fireball. I just don't understand. Our opponent is bottom removal. Like, how are we supposed to... I mean, I guess Phoenix of Ash is just, like, the absolute MVP here. Because they can't just, like, burn through it. Take that, opponent. Yeah, remove it. Punk. Yeah! Okay. Island off the top would be really good. We just get to escape this Phoenix. No. Okay, no island, but we do get the Sprite Dragon. Go opt. Okay, well it lives, surprisingly. Honestly, I'll keep Iteration top. Iteration is so good here. Because it actually lets us pull ahead in cards. Opponents also... They stumbled on one land drop, but so did we. Okay, they hammer it. Sure. Land off the top for Phoenix. No land, we get to Iteration. Okay, so we do get to Iteration. Then we can Serum Visions, and we'll just guarantee our land drop for next turn. Wow, this is really good. Honestly, want to just go like hand exile on the guide. Just like maximum creatures. Or we could go... I kind of like Pathway too. I'll just go hand exile. It feels bad-ish. But like we get to flip this Delver here. Flipping it to a Bolt seems ideal. Snag doesn't seem awful, though. Oh, we drew another Serum Visions. Okay. So yeah, we flip it to a Bolt, and then we just get to jam with this Phoenix. We hit them for 6. Causal X return? Like, okay, opponent. Okay, I see you. And we have another Snag in our hand, too, anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, so I think we're just. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're not running. But we'll like faint Terramander or whatever. Wow, Phoenix of Ash is just coming in absolute clutch against this Red Prowess deck, though. And they totally feel like more of a control deck with its hammers and its cost select return and like infinite red removal. Okay, opponent calls their companion. Sure. I mean, we just get the Phoenix again. Like, I'm honestly not even that concerned about this. Their opponent... I mean, I think it's right, the Phoenix. If they spend their turn casting Obosh, we just get the Vapor Snag it, and then Mana Leak it on the way down. So we get the Exile Sprite Dragon. Jesus Christ, why is this so small? Sprite Dragon, Iteration. Okay, opponent's down to 9. Like, they're basically dead. Like, this Snag plus Bolt is really scary. They just cast Giant. Sure. This is about the least scary thing they could do. Sure. Okay. That's cool. Huh. Okay, well, we could... Okay, snagging the Bone Crusher doesn't seem like a great play. I feel like we just bolt the Bone Crusher and then play the Goblin Guide. This keeps their board clean, and then bolting the Bone Crusher and then swinging with the Goblin Guide is about as good as... Oh, they just get a land. It's funny, because, like, whenever... Like, I'm paired up against Goblin Guide, I never get lands. But whenever I'm playing Goblin Guide, I think our opponent just gets a land every time. It's crazy. Okay, so they don't have any... So we can let this resolve, and then they go to 6, take 2. I mean, I'll just Mana Leak this. We have, like, decent snag targets anyways. But snagging the 5-drop definitely feels good. Sure, okay, they just concede. I don't think it really mattered there. I feel like snagging it's probably a decent play as well. It's just not snagging it puts a premium on snag, which is good against any other chump blocker that they could play. Or blocker, not a chump blocker. Our creatures are pretty dinky. There's like a soft argument to run Tails End, but I don't think I want to. I have just kind of looking to run it back, I think. I mean, Melody's good here. I think Melody might be better than the other, like Shoal 3 and 4. Could definitely see an argument for that. Like, Melody taking Bone Crusher seems pretty good. I mean, I'll keep this. We have Iteration, we have Bolt, we have Sprite Dragon. This is basically Dream Hand. They play Relic, sure. Opponent getting some percentage points against our dank jank. Pass it back to them. We have an answer to their creature if they play one. Yeah, this is super mid-range. This is like mid-range Obosh. Like Obosh Stompy. Like, this is a completely different deck than like Obosh Prowess. I'd almost to the point where I'd say they're making a mistake by playing this suggests they probably don't have Stomp. If they have Stomp, it's whatever. I mean, like, I just get a little punished. But they're almost making a mistake by playing freaking Soulscar Mage. So they have a Bolt, sure. and, like, kind of expect, to be honest. I wish Relic just auto-targeted when you had only one card in your graveyard and you let the trigger resolve. Because, like, at that point, there's nothing you could do. So you're just, like, inside the trigger at that point. Yeah, like, they played double Valakut Awakening. Kinda crazy. Get to Iteration. We hit a Goblin Guide. Yeah, I feel like Goblin Guide's just kind of a good place to be. But, like, look how much better Goblin Guide is than Swift Spear with Iteration. Like, when as a hit. Not necessarily, like... I mean, I'm hoping we could just have this Goblin Guide live. Whatever, like, slim universe that happens. And then they just get baited into Blood Mooning us. Okay, Firebolt off the top. Rough. It's possible our opponent's low on lands. Oh, they have a Stomp. They do have the Stomp. I think they are low on lands, though, because they have the... They played the Stoneforges, and they did have the Stomp. Oh, this Relic taxes my time by so much. It's ridiculous. Seasoned Pyromancer. Rough. Opponent discards Firebolt. They discard a third Valakut Awakening, and they have Forgotten Gate. Yeah, like, this feels like a... Like, almost a Scred type of situation, but, like, they just aren't running Scred, I guess. I don't know, can't really puzzle that one out. Serum Visions into Serum Visions. No thank you. I guess we'll just Serum Visions again. Bottom the bolt. I don't think we need any more bolt effects. We'll just pass. I don't really know what's happening, to be completely honest. But our opponent definitely went all in on the Relic plan. Oh. Our opponent just needs to leave me alone with the Relic, though. It's so annoying. Okay, well, that's a good Lightning Bolt target. It's another good Lightning Bolt target. Oh, you know what? We probably should have Mana Leak this. I'm saving the Mana Leak for the Obosh, though. So I suppose like, either is fine. I think we'll kill the Bone Crusher here. Maybe we'll hit them for 2 here, I think. And we'll just pass. Sprite Dragon is going to kill them very quickly. I think I'll counter basically any instant they throw at the Sprite Dragon. Yeah, so they cast the Firebolt that we do about. So we get the Test of Talents then. Grows the Dragon. Okay, I mean, we're just gonna exile all these Firebolts. They're really good against us. Jesus Christ, this game. Okay, so what are they even playing? Hammer, Bone Crusher, Seasoned Pyromancer. Yeah, I mean, it's totally just a mid-range deck that just has Obosh as a top end. They're running 4 Hammer Boggart in. It's crazy. Wait, what's in there? Oh, their hand is just Radiant Fountain? Deal. Okay, opponent goes to 19. We do not know the top card of our library. We'll put Obosh into their hand. Wait, what's the other card in their hand? Okay, I'm a little confused. Like, I know they have Obosh, but like, what's the other card? I thought they played the Radiant Fountain, no? Because, like, I know what the third card is, right? The third card's the Soulscar Mage. Yeah, I can look at the game log. Okay, we're just gonna leak this. I don't know, because we know they have Soulscar in their, Oh, they drew a card off of Relic. Yeah, that's it, that's it. That makes sense. So it's an unknown card, we don't know what it is. Okay, we take 4 down to 1. And at this point, we're kind of screwed. I'm not sure what we draw to get out of this. We have to basically kill our opponent here. So it's like killer cantrip chain or death. So we have 5, 6, 7. Or we could force it, I guess. I don't know. I think we're just out of this. We pass, and then we hope they don't swing with everything. Could have also played defensive with the Sprite Dragon earlier. I don't know. I think we were just kind of out of this game, to be completely honest. There wasn't a whole lot we could have done differently. I think we were also on a mulligan this game as well. Rough. Wow. I mean, that's an interesting deck from our opponent. Hammer of Bogarden. Bogarden. I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah, like maybe Melody would have been sweet there. I don't know. They just weren't running a whole lot of creatures to steal. And then we just got like randomly bogged down by Seasoned Pyromancer in the last game. Like I think Flame Sweep would have been interesting there. Like I obviously knew they were on a weird build from like turn 1, game 1 when they had the hammer, but I didn't know what that meant. Okay. Huh. I think we'll keep it. This hand isn't exciting, but we have interaction. I could definitely see mulliganing though. But being able to counter turn 1 Mana Dork is pretty metal. That's basically the only thing this hand does, I think. we get the Serum Visions, look for a threat, and we do find a threat. So, I mean, like, this hand wasn't terrible, I suppose. Pass. We're against green-white Heliod. I don't think this is the player I played against before. We could probably... Oh, and they're stuck on one land, too. Could have probably countered that. I wanted to keep the opt for Sprite Dragon, though. Okay, MTGO lagging a little bit. Classic. Hit them for 1 here. And then this also lets us protect our Sprite Dragon. Hopefully our opponent doesn't go, like, land into Skyclave. That would be brutal. We need them to not do that. Oh my god, yeah, that's fun. That's fun. We could totally beat a Ranger. We could not have beaten the Skyclave there. So I'm assuming this means they have a Ballista in hand. Or something. Definitely an interesting pick. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. I think it has to mean that they have Ballista in hand, though. Okay, Goblin Guide looks really bad against their 3-3, but we can play it next turn, potentially. Just go land, opt, hold up Mana Leak. Really didn't have to play that land pre-opt, to be completely honest. Just bottom this. Draw. I mean, we're scared of them ballisting on 2 or casting like a Heliod or something here, so I think we're going to hold it back with the iteration this turn. If we were scared of them just casting a 2-drop, we could just hold up Shoal pitching Mana Leak. But we're also scared of them casting like a Collected Company here, which Force would insulate against, but we didn't draw Force this game. And I feel like maybe they have 2-drop plus, and then they fetch the Arbor Elf because it smooths out their curve a little bit. Yeah, and then this means they have Company in hand, I think. The issue with them having Company in hand is that, like, we could save Mana Leak for it, or we could just jam our stuff and then hope it works. And we drew the Force, which is exactly what we were looking for. Either like a Force or a Mana Leak would have done it there. Perfect. And then we also have the Sprite Dragon, which is a pretty scary attacker. So yeah, we just want them to tap out for Company here, then Sprite Dragon becomes a 5/5. And then if they straight out tap out, then they die to Bolt here, I think. And if not, then they just lose the Ranger Captain. Let's take 4 down to 12, and then our opponent Companies. We could also Shoal pitching Force to counter a Heliod here too. I think I'll do the same thing with Spike Feeder. I think it just buys our opponent too much time. Just something I really can't have happen. We're definitely a little bit light on red mana as well. They have a ranger captain on top. Interesting. Sure, they block. Go to 4. So they're dead to the Sprite Dragon. And they probably don't have Skyclave. They might have company. They have another feeder. So feeder can gain them 4 life, so they're at like a artificial 8. Sure. So they're dead to Bolt here. They're not dead to that. Just go to combat here. Hit them for 5, and then I'll play this land tapped, which turns on Phoenixes from the top deck and stuff. Okay, opponent taking 5. Down to 3, and they're still just dead to the Sprite Dragon next turn. So they basically time walked, or got a time walk, and the fact that we killed the elf with the Goblin Guide was pretty good too. If we had the bolt, we'd obviously shoot it here. Okay. And we win. Okay, it feels really good to be up again. I'm actually still trying to figure this matchup out, and I think our matchup is actually not super terrible. I almost like Test of Talons here for Collected Company, because we just get to rob them of every Coco in their deck. And then it also hits Veil of Summer, which they run 3 of in the board, last time I checked. Tailsend's also not bad here, because Ranger Captain of Eos, the ETB is what we're really scared of, and then Annul counters Heliod. So this is generally what I like, boarding in. As for boarding out, Shoal is fine at countering their mana acceleration, and this is not a card advantage matchup, so I think Shoal is fine here. The Snag is okay, but for the most part, it's just sort of dies quickly. Like, I don't know, there's not a whole lot that we're snagging. I guess with Guide in the deck, we're looking to snag a little bit more. But for the most part, we're just looking to bolt their mentors and stuff. I think snag's still, like, in general, like, okay. But I could see a world where we're cutting these Shoals. I think Mana Leak is honestly one of the worst cards. I think in a world where we had Counterspell, it's a little bit better. But I could totally see running, like, 1 snag and then this split of counters. Because for the most part, like, we're countering Heliod, and we're countering... I don't know. I think maybe Mana Leak's a little bit better than Shoal. I think countering their acceleration is good sometimes, but we also want to just be able to counter their payoffs as well. So I think just, like, trimming down on leaks in favor of some of these, like, more diverse counter spells is pretty good. But Tail's End is worse than Counterspell. So in a world where we had Counterspell, I think we'd probably... Maybe Tail's End is just worse. Yeah, maybe we just run Mana Leak over Tail's End. Not super interesting. Oh. Yeah, and I meant to keep it 1... There's another snag. Yeah, that's perfect. I'll just run it like this. Okay, bit of a mess of sideboarding, to be completely honest. We're on the draw. This hand doesn't have an answer to Mana Dorks. We have the double leak, which comes online after they can slam a turn 2 Heliod, which seems a little bit slow. So I think we're going to mulligan this. This hand also seems pretty bad, but I think we'll keep it. I hope I never say those words again. Just gonna bottom this Phoenix. It's not super fast, and we could just draw into one at some point. Okay, opponent, we're looking to just counter this turn 1 dork. We also have the bolt for it, obviously, but we're looking to bolt their turn 2 play. And we draw a land. Perfect. Yeah, so we're looking to just bolt their Conclave Mentor, and then just leak Heliod and Ranger Captain, and Coco. All big leak targets. Okay, well, this is not boltable. Kind of sad. One of the reasons why Young Pyromancer is not the greatest card in Modern at the moment. Okay. It's pretty awkward. This is my attempt at a budget Fiery Islet, because I wanted to come into play untapped dual end, and I did not have the tickets at the time to grab an Islet, so here's the budget Islet. Okay, definitely looking to counter a Heliod here. Oh, and our opponent just gives it to us on a silver platter. That's really good for us. So if we can go untap, slam a 1-mana threat. Okay, they hold it back. Respect the Goblin Guide. Alright. I'll just pass it back. I guess this matchup has become a little bit about control, or about card advantage, because we just weren't able to find a threat in our 7 or 6. Yeah, so this card's fine. It gains them a little bit of life, but it just dies to bolt, so it's not that big of a deal. Any creature that dies to bolt is basically not worth being mana leaked. This mana leak's going to be dead eventually, but our opponent's also at like hella life. Goblin Guide off the top would be interesting. Okay, we do find the Goblin Guide. Interesting and not like in the greatest way, because they go up to 20 and then we hit them back down to 18, but it forces their Auriok champion on like permanent defense duty. They're drawing Utopia Sprawl for the turn. Sure. Let's see if our opponent's missing land drops. I feel like our opponent's probably doing fine on mana though. Sure, so they just play the Sprawl we know about. Cool. Cool. They just pass. Sure. This is going to be a bit of a stall fest, to be completely honest. Yeah, we'll pass. I was thinking of maybe running Skullcrack or something in our deck to help deal with Heliod combo and like Auriok champions when we're running Goblin Guides, because it just sort of time walks their combo. Opponent's representing Coco right now. We basically cannot let that resolve under any circumstance. Fire off Seer Visions. Sure. Okay, this is just about perfect. We're going to go Leak top and then Sprite Dragon on the very top. And then we'll just go land, pass. We'll leak this end of turn Coco, and then we'll play Sprite Dragon. And if they don't cast this Coco, then we can leak the next one. The issue is if they have Bailiff Summer here, we basically just lose. Unless this Coco misses. I think our opponent has Veil. It's rough. There's not a whole lot we can do about this, though. Oh, they just fetched the forest. Opponent didn't actually have Veil. They just wanted us to concede. And they just have another champion, sure. I was really scared they'd have another Coco here. So I guess we're not playing around another Coco, and then they also don't have a Heliod, so we're definitely just jamming a Sprite Dragon. These cards are so annoying. Honestly, if a Heliod sticks, it's just game over with all of these triggers. Okay, opponent that's a 19. A Sprite Dragon will kill fast once we draw a cantrip, and we could start like chaining them. So our opponent does not have very many good answers to it. It's basically just Skyclave. Okay. Opponent getting frisky. 1 damage. Okay, we're down to 16. Okay, no Heliod at 1 time. Skyclave. I mean, bolting the Skyclave and then getting a 2/2 doesn't sound too bad, because then we can just swing into these Auriok champions still. And we're drawing a Mana Leak for turn, so I'm definitely not opposed to just bolting the Skyclave here. They can't cast anything meaningful here, I don't think. We could wait to ambush one of these Auriok champions in combat, but I think that's a little too cute. Okay, so we draw this Mana Leak. Sure. We're kind of losing this race, though, but that's fine. Oh, no, we're not losing it. Sorry, we're on a 16-turn clock, because they can't swim with both of them. Okay. Opponent draws Canopy for turn. Three unknowns. But we know that two of them are not Heliod and not Coco. I mean, honestly, I'll just Mana Leak this. Not excited about this, but this Mana Leak is going to be dead very soon. Okay, so we still have our bases covered, at least. And we're winning this race, so you got that going for us. Our opponent's down one Heliod. They could be sitting on Veil of Summer, but that doesn't really make sense, because they would have just veiled us there. So they've got no Veil, no Heliod, and no Company. Potentially. Like, obviously, it depends. And, like, they could have just top decked this, too. Okay, Idol's pretty great here. If they've been sandbagging a Veil, we get to force it. Okay, opponent's gonna just poke us for one, I think, and then pass. Sure. This is such a bizarre game of Magic. We'll play this next turn, I think. Yeah, Company's their big come back into the game tool. And being able to force that is really important. Hit us for one, sure, down to 13. Our opponent's clock is just so abysmal. Like, they're never going to kill us Auriok champion beats unless they're swinging with, like, multiple of them. Okay, Phoenix. Does that change anything here? Probably. I think we're supposed to just slam it and then hope to fade Coco for a turn. So otherwise we'd have to wait for another land, which sounds kind of bad. So we get the bop them for 4. Opponent down to 15. So they're on a tentative 4-ish turn clock. Probably like 5 is a safer estimate. Because undoubtedly they're going to play a creature for these Auriok champions. Did our opponent draw a 3rd Heliod? Skyclave, sure. I mean, Skyclave Hitter Phoenix is obviously annoying, but at the same time, if we get a 3/3 illusion out of it, if we draw like a bolt or something, that's pretty fine by me. Okay. Land. Ranger Captain. Rough. Worth noting that holding up Forest doesn't do anything against all of those. Because these are the cards they could potentially have. It actually makes a lot of sense they had a Skyclave in hand, because we just had Illusion Goblin Guide as our creature base for like 8 turns. I wish that was hyperbolic, but it's turn 12. Is this game 2 or 3? Actually, can't remember. I think it's game 2. Just pass it back to our opponent. Worth noting, if this Shivan Reef was an islet, that'd be kind of metal right now. Okay, opponent draws. No, this is just Ballista. X equals kill me. Yeah, we'll concede to Ballista on 3. I don't think we're beating this. Okay, yeah, so that was game 2. So we're going to be on the play this game. I think Melody's interesting. I think we honestly just run it back. Shoal is definitely not exciting in this matchup, but countering an early Banadork is good tempo for us, especially if we're on like a Goblin Guide or a Delver start, which statistically should be a lot of our games. Okay, 2 Delvers, Force of Negation, keep. So we have Force for a Utopia Sprawl or Force for a something, I don't know. Okay, sweet. Fetch Shock, Steam Vents, Delver, go. We also have Serum Visions in our hand, and then we have Iteration to draw us into more gas. I mean, it's possible our opponent just gets kind of Delvered out here. Not even tempoed out, just Delvered out. And they do have the Sprawl. Like, I'm kind of down to just give it to this Iteration here. Because that lets us use our mana super efficiently next turn, and then flip these Delvers. But keeping Iteration is definitely enticing. I'd just rather have, like a Mana Leak on top or something. It's awkward. I think we're just going to play this, though. Then cast a Serum Visions. And we do get to put this Mana Leak on top. Snag is pretty good too, though. We'll just go Snag, top, Mana Leak, Tippity top. Play a Delver. Go to combat, hit them for 1, and then we get to pass, and then next turn we get to play Goblin Guide, hold up Mana Leak. Seems pretty good. Pot plays Arbor Elf. If they're stuck on 1 land, they're so clapped here. They're stuck on 1 land. Bad beats. It's fine. We'll help them out. We'll play the Goblin Guide to help them hit their land drops. See, look at us. Aren't we just like nice, kind, generous opponents? Oh, our opponent. The green-white Heliod. Disaster. Alright, well, we're 2-1. Only lost us to Mono Red Obosh Disaster, whatever that is. It's some sort of mid-range type. Okay, well, we keep double Goblin Guide Sprite Dragon, I think. We're on the draw against Fat Caster Mage. 3 cards in the hand. Opponent. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to draw for turn. I mean, honestly, I think I'm just going to play this Lava Glide pathway and just Goblin Guide them. It was an interesting list, too. It was running Hammer of Bogarden. I can't pronounce it, but Fatal Push. Sure. Deal opponent. And I had never played against something like that before. It's very interesting, though. Just play Sprite Dragon here. Hopefully they don't have Spell Snare. That'd be super awkward. Wow, they have Spell Snare. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, they had like 10 1-mana removal spells or something, so they traded with my creatures super efficiently. It was actually kind of brutal. Like, you see, the conventional wisdom is generally that you can't run. I'm running Goblin Guide into Archmage's Charm here, aren't I? Oh, I guess they can't Archmage's Charm here, right? Yeah, they can't Archmage's Charm like exactly here. We could also just Iteration. Kind of fun with that. We'll just Iteration and then play a threat. They can't Charm. Oh, no, they float blue. Yeah, no, you're right. Mana Leak. Honestly, I'm just going to counter this. Because the other iteration in our hand, it's like we get to cast it now instead of later. And we just get to put this Delver on hand, Visions to the bottom, Guide to Exile, untapped. Play the Guide. Playing the Guide now, because Jesus, voice crack. Playing the Guide now because if they decide to Archmage's Charm it, I'd rather them charm our Goblin Guide than our Delver. And then we just get to play 3 creatures next turn. And then maybe just zoo them out. Blue Zoo. Alright, opponent. Vantress for Tears. And they have an interesting deck though. I'm kind of intrigued by what's going on over there. Play another Goblin Guide. Okay, they have a Drown on top. See if they do anything here. Oh, this is not a good sign for them. Opt. I guess the question is, do they opt to the top? I mean, I feel like they have to take Drown here, right? If they don't take Drown... Yeah, if they don't take Drown here, then they have board wipe in hand. But the fact they take Drown means that... Yeah, so that they're not playing towards the board wipe here. They're just going to snap, push, kill both of our guides. And then we get to play 2 Delvers here. They could very well still have Archmage's Charm, but I think playing 2 Delvers here is pretty free. Not like infinitely free, but like fairly free. Play. Okay, we're out of cards in hand. Our opponent has 4. We know about the Drown. Opponent just passes. They don't make their line drop, so they have 5 spells in hand. And our Delvers are flipping. I'd imagine they probably like do stuff to our Delver before we draw Vapor Snag, and we can snag it in response. And our opponent does have Drowned Man, so we probably see that here. Opt, sure. Opponent's really a fan of just opting. Sure, Drown it. Deal. Opponent has a 12. They're on a 4-turn clock, but they have a lot of resources. Yeah, I mean, if they snap Drown, our Delver will just snag it back to hand, and then we'll work from there, I suppose. Yeah, I think we definitely have to snag it here. Okay, well, we draw another one. Sure. Well, we'll see if this one flips. Definitely don't want to be snagging their Snapcasters if I can help it. Opponent no attacks. Sure. We're gonna play this one out. The land, not just the game. Although we are going to be playing the game now. Like, I don't think our opponent has us locked here by any stretch of the, any sense of the word. I think we're pretty alright. Yeah, so we get to snag it. The spell snare on our Sprite Dragon was really backbreaking them. Obviously, a counterspell would have just been better than Snag there, but you know, we can't always have nice things. Our opponent's been breaking on so many lands. But it has been doing wonders for their spell density in hand. Like, I really wish I was in their position. Then I just had infinite spells in my hand. Wow. Just go Delver Pass here. Yeah, I'm not sure what our opponent's on. Doesn't look like blue-black inverter. River of Tears is just kind of a choice decision. You don't see that in a whole lot of decks. And we get, but we didn't actually get punished for not playing the island. Yeah, I think we're probably just dead here though. Okay, they're on Esper. That's an important thing to know. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So our opponent's on Esper. And they're playing Big Teferi. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Good to know. Okay, so Tail's End definitely comes in here. We could also try Boil in this matchup. Boil sounds like a bit of fun. So Boil, Test of Talents, Tail's End, all seem like pretty solid cards here. I think Shoal sounds awful. Force is fine because it deals with Planeswalkers. Snag is pretty abysmal. We could just run one Melody to steal our creatures back from them. Sounds kind of bad. How we schmoovin'? We are... I mean, we're 2-1. We're down a game in match 4. Wins against Green-White Heliod and another deck. I actually don't even know what we played against round 1. And then we lost against this mono-red Obosh deck. Oh, nice, nice. Okay, we draw the melee. I just kind of wanted to top deck this later. I didn't actually want this in my opener. But we'll keep this. Yeah, I actually don't even know what's more correct. Playing the Guide turn 1 or playing the Delver turn 1? I think it depends a little bit on our land situation. I think we'll lead Delver turn 1 now. I'm gonna play Goblin Guide. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I would like the turn 2 Sprite Dragon if they... Yeah, so they don't have Spell Snare for it. Like, I'm not gonna run Sprite Dragon into Spell Snare mana. Like, I think I'd rather play Delver. But this is just gonna let us curve out really nicely. This might have been a mistake to play, to be completely honest. Yeah, our opponent's very firmly an Esper. They just had some serious mana issues last game. Opponent drown in the lock. Go for the threat again. Sure. Deal. Draw for turn. It's like Goblin Guide. I mean, honestly, we don't even lose to Little Teferi. Holding up this Tailstone doesn't seem that important. the siding in the one melody to steal our own creatures back from Archmage's Charm is kind of funny. I mean, we get to put them down to 11 here. Just get the pass. Opponent opts main phase. It's an interesting move. Okay. Opponent's gonna have to discard for turn. Or discard for turn. Opponent discards the flood this turn. So we know about 2 polluted deltas then? Okay. So they have 2 deltas, 2 unknowns. Do we show them the boil? Yeah, we're probably not casting it this game. Apparently they have a lot of nonsense. Wow. Alright. I think boils probably aren't good enough here in this matchup. Okay, Logic Knot in hand. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, our opponent's just kind of taking these Goblin Guides to the fucking throat. Also, I have not seen a deck play 2 go for the throats in forever. Alright. I respect it. Opponent does not Cryptic Command us. Alright. So there's a Snapcaster Mage. We'll counter the Snap Trigger if it is. Snapcaster Mage. I mean, I think we're just like socially obligated to counter this trigger. They can counter the Tailzone. Do we bolt the Snapcaster? I think we do. Yeah, I think we bolt the Snapcaster. Yeah, so they mana leak it, that's fine. They trade, they go to 5. We don't have bolt in our hand anymore though. Maybe that was a missed out, I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to tell, to be completely honest. It'd be nice if our deck just had counterspell in it though. Hasn't been super punishing, but it's just awkward. I think we still have 4 mana leak in our deck. They just slammed to Fairy, sure. I mean, yeah, it's just fine. The Fairy's obviously kind of annoying, but the hope is that we could just kill our opponent. Okay. They still have Logic Knot in their hand. They have 2 polluted deltas. Might be a little rough for us. Mana leak. It's possible we just played too hard into Snapcaster Mage, but there wasn't like... We can't just not attack there. Like, maybe we just attack there and we just let Snapcaster Mage trade with our entire board, because those Goblin Guides had already done so much. And we get to hold up Tailzone for this Teferi. It's probably better. I think we just pass here. There's not a whole lot we can mana leak at this point. This spell's pretty fucking awful. They also have Teferi in play already. We have 3 cards in play, but this boil's just dead against their deck because they play so many non-islands. Honestly, Boyle's probably just not the place to be. If it's not good against Esper control, what's it good against? It's not good against like core color or anything. Opponent might just go Vantressing this turn. If they put anything on top with Vantress, probably just concede. Play Moon. I mean, yeah. Moon's good. We could cast this iteration. It's probably getting logic knotted, but I think we're probably conceding here. Our opponent has 6 cards in hand and an active Teferi in play, and we have no like outs to what their deck's doing. Yeah, so they counter this, and then we can see. And like we'd basically have to. Yeah, I don't know. There was just no salvation for us there. Our opponent was at 4, so like maybe there's a world where we can kill them potentially. I don't know. I was just fucking around with the idea that I could potentially play Boyle, but I think the card's just not good enough. It doesn't do enough. There's just not enough islands in Modern. Or like honestly, I don't even like Blood Moon a whole lot either. So I also don't feel like it does a whole lot. Like I think I'd rather just play more removal in my sideboard, to be completely honest. Like even just running Forked Wall. True. It definitely seems good there. Kinda wish I had a Boil. Yeah, maybe. I really wanted to boil what the fuck was it? Boil the Triad players. I hate the Triad players. So I don't have that players, I just hate the card. Okay, everybody has the exact same icon. I feel like I just missed the memo. This hand's atrocious. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of this hand, but I think it works. Yeah, I think Pathways is just a budget option for MTGO, and Boils just shouldn't be in the deck. I think that's like my summary after playing a little bit. Oh, this Shoal is so bad at this Multi 6 though. We're just gonna lose. How do we win? Like, we're on the play, but like keep one Boil in. I don't know, maybe. I'll think about it. Okay, so we counter this, and then we have nothing. Deal. I mean, I might keep it for now. This experiment's probably worth exploring just a little bit more. Because it's definitely interesting. The mana base is, like, fairly painless. Okay, well, that's actually not a terrible draw. It means we might actually be able to play the game. Okay, we'll put Snag on the top, and then we can opt it away if it turns out to be bad. But yeah, like, I'm pretty sure these pathways are just worse than fetches. Like, maybe I could run 2 pathways. I think 2 pathways would be really interesting in this deck. Like, run 2 pathways and then 3 fetches. Could also just jam this Phoenix next turn if Snag's good. Ew. Okay, I'm pretty sure Snag is not great, but I also just kind of want to jam this Phoenix. I think Snag's going to be decent eventually. And the kill my creatures plan suddenly gets a lot worse with Phoenix in the equation. Oh! No. Okay, God bless. I did not skip through my combat stuff. Yeah, like, it's not completely painless. Like, I still have the 2 shocks and the 4 fetches. But running, like, 4 less fetch lands, which is what I'd run in paper. Okay, Blaze, sure. 3 cards. I like my position. I'm not, like, thrilled about it, but I think it's fine. We're just gonna bottom this Snag in my upkeep, I think. Draw for turn. Honestly, like, I think this is just a window to cast the Sprite Dragon. It sucks if they have... What even is this? I don't want help. Windows 10's trying to get me therapy. Okay, Canyon was a good draw from them, though. Very good draw. Yeah, but I think the painless aspect of the mana base is definitely intriguing. Like, I don't hate these pathways. I think 4 is just too many. But I could be wrong. Like, maybe 4 is just a good number. Jesus Christ. Okay, and then we slam Goblin Guide with Mana Leak backup. Okay, we passed. Like, I couldn't even play the Phoenix this turn. It's so bad. They just bolt my creature? What? This card is so bad. It just feels like a crime to actually be playing Mana Leak in Modern. This card is just so criminally, disgustingly bad. Okay. No attacks from our opponent. Interesting. I mean, I guess, but like, this is just a bad card. It's just not great. Okay, so we get to swing in. The issue is this. Like, we can't even swing in because they have a spell. This Monastery Swiftspear don't attack was like 5,000 IQ. Probably better with Remand in this spell. No, because if I don't have Mana Leak, I don't really have hard answers to things. I love how not attacking with the Swiftspear actually like worked out for my opponent. That's obnoxious. Opponent. Okay, they are swinging. Okay. Deal. I didn't have to counter the Skullcrack. I mean, honestly, I'd probably counter a... That doesn't really matter. Like, it matters if they have Boros Charm in hand, but I didn't get punished for it. And, like, the thing is they might not cast a spell that turn cycle. Yeah, it's good against Eidolon, though, to actually keep up the Mana Leak. Well, I think they just misclicked when they didn't attack with the Swiftspear. Because, like, they don't know we have Goblin Guide in their deck. It's definitely not. Not that there is a stock Delver list, but if there was a stock Delver list, it doesn't include Goblin Guide. So we can hit them to 11 here, and then we just die. So I think we just pass. Okay, I'm actually not sure what we do here. We really don't have, like, a whole lot of great sideboard options. We have... Flame Sweep is okay against, like, their super aggro redraws. Melody's also fine against their creatures. Test of Talents is probably worth running. Opponent's fetching, sure. 1 card in hand. Deal. Deal with the 1 card in hand. And they skewer our goon. Okay, so we just get to leak this. Okay, so Test of Talents. Exile... Oh, Jesus. Counter target instant or sorcery spell. And then we get to search their graveyard, hand, and library. So notably, we counter it. It goes into the graveyard, and we can actually exile it from the graveyard, right? And then it also has, like, the forgiveness thing, where if we exile a card from their hand, they draw a card for each one that we exiled. So it's kind of like a Dispel that hits sorceries and then Surgicals that spell. So it's, like, pretty alright against Bring to Light and Scape Shift. But then also isn't, like, terrible against other decks where you're trying to take out key spells. Like, if we counted a Boros Charm, it's, like, not awful. As it was, like, I really wanted to run Dispel in the sideboard, and I was running Dispel, and then I figured I could just run that instead, because then I could actually counter Bring to Light. Okay, well, hopefully they just blank. Their deck doesn't actually have blanks, though, because they just have like 5 Canopy Lands or so. It's actually kind of hard to beat Burn in this position. And by hard, I mean, like, it's not like we'd have to do anything right. We just have to get, like, exceptionally lucky. Because our opponent just sandbags until they have 5 lands in play, and then our mana leak's useless, and then they just bolt us. But Shoal might carry a little bit of weight here. Get the pass. Like, now their creatures are blanks. Or not blanks, but not as good. Yeah, and these are like literally the only blinks in their deck. Foothills and Vantage. They Rift Bolt us. Oh, we actually can't counter that. Well, joke's on you, opponent. Alright, let's go into the next game. But yeah, so like Test of Talents is basically just a 2-mana negate that doesn't hit Planeswalkers. Which, I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, well, would I rather just have negate in the sideboard? And I think the matchups for negate is good. Like, Tail's End also counters the Planeswalkers, but I don't know. Maybe negate's just better. Just kind of trying it out. Yeah, so this matchup's a lot of back card advantage. So, like, these Shoals and these... The Forces are fine. The Forces counter... Yeah, like, we're already on Snag, which is also not super great. Like, I think I'd rather run 2 Abrade and then 1 Flame Sweep as, like, a hedge against, like, a super aggro-y start from them. Just try that. Yeah, no, Tail's End is definitely one of my favorite cards. Because it's like, they took Stifle, and then they dialed back its mana cost, but then also gave it, like, interesting text, too. So, like, it's not like a better Stifle or anything. It's kind of like, oh, Mulligan. Keep bottom. Do we bottom the Dispel? That sounds so bad. Because Leak beats Eidolon on 2. We probably want a Visions on 1. Honestly, we just bottom the Visions. Feels a little weird. Then we just play this pass. Yeah, but Tail's End is definitely just such an amazing card. It's like, it's not overtuned, but then it's also just thematically cool. Because it just targets like all of the legendary spells and whatnot. Opponent has no creatures with their start. It's pretty good for us. Serum Visions is the draw. Land. Honestly, playing the Sprite Dragon is maybe incorrect. Like, we could passive Mana Leak there, or we can cast Serum Visions and then try to hit a land, and then we could play Sprite Dragon with Dispel back up. But, like, a lot of our lines just seem very medium. Serum Visions is just kind of a mediocre draw. The thing is a lot of our lines lose to Eidolon, and then this line loses to Eidolon and Searing Blaze. So it probably wasn't the best line. Okay, but we get to cast Goblin Guide now. Can Serum Visions for like extra upside of like maybe hitting a land off of it and then being able to hold up Dispel. But I think I'd rather just play the Goblin Guide and hold up Dispel and just hope that's good enough. Opponent has Lava Spike on top. Okay, that doesn't kill a Goblin Guide. Honestly, Goblin Guide giving our opponent a Canopy land has got to be like pure nightmare fuel. Yeah, so I was thinking about the blue matchups, and I think Shrine of Burning Rage just does a better job than Boil in the blue matchups. Okay, Core Firewalker. Pretty alright here, if I do say so myself. If we can hit 4 lands by some miracle, then we can actually steal it, and then that's pretty good against our opponent. Okay. Oh, I mean, maybe getting the 4 lands isn't that impossible. Fetch. We get an island here. Serum Visions. And we hit a land. Okay. Huh. Okay, well, we already have double red, so I think I'm just going to top this Phoenix. And then we'll just pass it back to our opponent. We honestly might be able to stabilize with this Firewalker. Crazy enough. Who said Izzet didn't have life gain? What do you mean? That's one of our archetype strengths. We just steal white's life gain. Okay. Goblino Guide. I'm fine with mana leaking this. We don't have like a ton of great mana leak targets. Like Dispel is kind of premium because it counters Boros Charm. Not that Dispel can counter Goblin Guide. And then we're melodying this Firewalker. So we could trade the guides, but it's just so high upside to steal their Firewalker. And like we can just trade with this guide, right? It's not that big of a difference. Okay. Okay, so we go to 8. We draw our Phoenix. Play a land. Our opponent has 2 cards in hand. I don't think they kill us. They had 3 bolts. That doesn't kill us. They'd have to have... Yeah, I don't think there's a single combination of 3 cards that kills us here. Yeah, they'd have to be playing like Swift Spear plus cantrips or something to kill us. Joke's on you, opponent. I'm the one gaining life. Always yes. Always yield. Oh, yes. Okay. And then the best part about Phoenix of Ash is that we actually gain life off of it, too. Bam. It's so disgusting. Our opponent didn't have a creature last turn, so I don't think they're going to have one this turn. But I could also just hold it back with this Firewalker. I think we'll play Lava Glide. It's just not letting me that. Okay, bizarre. Yeah, we'll hit them for 4 here. That's interesting. Oh, now it's highlighted red. It's bizarre. MTGO is just a interesting place. They have Searing Blaze here. We're definitely just dispelling it. Deflecting Palm. 2, and then we go down to 6. Yeah, this is fine. Deflecting Palm does not do a whole lot of damage. This is pretty lackluster. Palm does not seem super good against us. It seems like okay if we had a big Sprite Dragon. But like that's the only time where this card is like at or above rate. Like our deck is just a ton of like derpy fucking creatures, right? It is pretty hot that Deflecting Palm can choose our Firewalker. Or their Firewalker, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we could start pumping this Phoenix of Ash. They have Rift Bolt. A Rift Bolt cannot be countered by Air Dispel. So we're going to be going down to 4, which is really not that bad. We're probably not cracking that though. Beating Burn in both sideboarded games is kind of hard too. But wow, Core Firewalker is a great anti-burn card. I actually don't know why our opponent's not on Luris though. Like yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a mistake to play Boris Burn and not play Luris. But that's obviously just my opinion. Okay, I don't think they should have shown us that they had a tap land there. Because now we can fetch. Get just Steam Vents tapped. This lets us double pump the Phoenix. Which we're not going to do, I suppose, so probably not worth it. 4 or 6. Yeah, because it doesn't kill them. Okay, play a Goblin Guide, gain a life. Oh, it's so great. It's so great. Oh, Melody. Melody. Okay, apparently Melody was a really good decision because they decided to bring in Firewalkers. Which makes sense. This deck is very red-leaning. And Firewalker's very good against us. Yeah, I think this is pretty hot. I think we're kind of chilling with what we have. Yeah, I'm very interested as to like what changes I'd actually like to make to this deck. Like whether or not Goblin Guide is good. Like other than the changes to the mana, which I think are pretty easy. Like we could maybe even get away with 3 pathways. But I think 2 is probably correct. We'll go to 6 cards or keep these 7. I mean, this hand seems wonderful. We have an answer to their turn 1 play, and then we also have plenty of counter magic, which is really all you can ask for. Goblino Guide. We also have untapped lands for 0 mana. Or 0 life, sorry. We have lands that cost 0 mana. Opponent, please. Goblino Guide. Yeah. Hits us for 2. Gives us a lit Tog. Just go land pass here. Oh, okay, we're kind of clowns. Kind of clowns. Oh, we could discard the Phoenix of Ash. Let's just discard a land. Not really our brightest moment. We should have just killed the Goblin Guide. Because we were going to do that anyways. Unless they have Eidolon here. And they play it pre-combat. Please no Eidolon upon it. Please. Oh, they just board us trying us. Deal. I mean, I'm going to just play this Goblin Guide. We don't want to be Sprite Dragoning our opponent because that line is just bad against Searing Blaze. And I'm not taking bad lines into Searing Blaze because I feel like they'd be very prone to keeping a hand that has that card in it. Okay. I mean, at this point, they don't have Searing Blaze mana, so I'll fetch for a tapped Steam Vents. We'll go to our turn. If they wanted to bolt the Goblin Guide, that's obviously fine. Okay, so now we can actually play our Sprite Dragon, and this game might just be locked up at this point. Our opponent stumbled on mana, and I mean, that's rough for them. It's kind of how this matchup goes. It's the first player to stumble just loses. Survival of the fittest, as they say. Our opponent's not hitting a land next turn either. That's unfortunate. Opponent, I regret to inform you that will not be possible. Yeah, not a huge fan of bringing in Path in this matchup, though. I think Path is just generally not super good when the creatures that you care about and want to remove are played turn 1 and turn 2. I will say that much. Okay, so they get to Rift Bolt us, sure. So I'd imagine they just Goblin Guide Skewer and then try to race. It's really their only bet here, I think. I don't think they can try to, like, stall this out. So they have the Guide that we knew about. They have the Skewer that we knew about. I guess they're going to kill it and then try to race us. Sure. I respect this. I respect this. We have another Mana Leak on top. Okay. Could put our opponent on a 2-turn clock, but then we're just dead to burn spell, burn spell. And we know their hand is just 2 spells because they haven't been hitting lands. So I think I'm actually more inclined to just hit them for 2 here. Yeah, and they draw a spike. Wow. And we could just kill this Phoenix on the turn that it kills them after we Mana Leak their spell, because I feel like they're going to be playing things sorcery speed. I don't know what's giving me that hunch, but I don't know. I mean, maybe our opponent's like a very good burn pilot, and I'm just not giving them enough credit. But, like, we're also at 6 here, right? So, like, they know about the Mana Leak, but there's also a Bolt on top of our deck. I don't know. Bolt is actually lethal. This Sunbaked Canyon involved. So they spike us. So we'll cast this Mana Leak that they know about, and then we'll just see what they do from here. Because, like, obviously, if they try to bolt us again, then they just die. And then if they don't bolt us, then we're kind of fine with that as well. Like, I'm fine just hitting them down to 1 here, and then it constricts their mana. Path is also pretty alright for us. So we can either keep this bolt on top, or we can... I think we're going to keep bolt on top. We're just going to answer their Goblin Guide, and then... Yeah, I think just answering this Goblin Guide and then being able to counter their spell and then slam this Phoenix is probably good enough. Alternatively, we could just answer their spell and then take 2 down to 4. I mean, like, taking 2 down to 4 and then being able to bolt Phoenix on this turn is definitely tempting. Okay, well, let's see what this Goblin Guide reveals. I think that changes how things go. Flame Sweep. How dangerous is going down to 4? They don't know we have a Phoenix in their hand, I don't think, right? Yeah, they don't know about the Phoenix. I think we're going to just take 2 here. Definitely a bit of a risky line, but I'm kind of down for the spicy line. Because we only lose to Boros Charm here. Boros Charm were like removal on the Phoenix. Which is obviously a lot of cards. Okay, bolt our opponent. This also constricts their mana with the Sunbaked Canyon. Please, opponent Boros charm us in response. Okay, the Helix us. I mean, that's the same thing. Test of Talents. Okay, their hand. Their library. Huh. This is a very... Why do they only have 2 Helix in their deck? Huh? Respectable. Draw for turn. One, two, three. Three or 2. Grrr! Grrr! Alright, I found it. Alright, well, we squeezed out the 3-2. This is an interesting league, actually. This is definitely an interesting league. Yes. Almost every single one of our matches went to 3 games. That's kind of impressive, honestly. Okay. But what is in the chest? 25 play points. And, okay. Well, I mean, I'll take it. 25 play points isn't the worst. We can actually just enter another league with that, which is nice. I have some schoolwork to do, but I think I'm going to try tinkering with this deck more. I mean, of course I'm going to try tinkering with it more. I'm just not really sure exactly what I would change. Like, maybe just... Because I was thinking about, like, a 2-3 split earlier. Maybe 4 is still fine. Because the big thing is, like, there's basically no anti-synergy here. Like, running 4 Pathway in this deck costs us basically nothing. The big issue is when we run Counterspell instead of Mana Leak. This becomes a bit more of an issue. Because then these pathways sort of just... Because we could play the blue pathway, but then we can't play a red creature on turn 1. And if we play a red creature on turn 1 off of a red pathway, then... I don't know. It might not actually be that bad. Like, I could totally see a world where we just run 2 pathway, and then we just run 3 fetches. Like, I feel like that's what I'm going to personally be running, because I think it's just, like, a nice split. Or even just, like, 2 fetches, and then 4th Island or something. Yeah, because I think 4th Island plus 2 fetches would be, like, a nice, safe split. But then spells, I think it's mostly fine. I think the 3 snags are okay. I don't really have a comment on them. I think 3 snags is... fine. I mean, it's possible burn spells are just better than snag, but I don't know like which burn spells would actually be better than snag and which ones are just straight up worse than snag. As being able to answer blockers like Dryad felt really important. And then the sideboard, I still just really don't know where to go with this. I think for the most part the sideboard's pretty good. But I think the Tails End Test of Talent slot feels a little bit clunky. Like, I'd be interested in running Shrine of Burning Rage here or something. Or just go back to Dispel. Or maybe, like, honestly, I feel like 1 Test of Talents, 1 Dispel makes a lot of sense. Because we're already running the Dispel main deck. But that way it just kind of rounds it out to 2 Dispel plus 1 Test of Talents. Which seems reasonable. I can get behind this. And then the other 2 cards, probably just 2 Shrines would be interesting. And then, again, I think the main deck's fine. The mana base is just... it's weird to look at. I'm just not used to looking at pathways in my modern mana base. And then I guess the card that we were testing, Goblin Guide, I actually don't even have anything to say about this card. I think it was just fine. I think... yeah, honestly, no complaints. The card seemed good. I don't know if it's better than other options at this point, but it felt really good to have like 8 1-drops that were good early on in the game, and they just killed my opponent. That just felt like a good place to be, so I think I could definitely see playing more of these cards in the future. Or maybe like Test of Talents is just... like countering sorceries just isn't super relevant. Just jam the 3 dispel. Nah, no. Keep the 1 test. This is good. This is good. I'm fine with this for now, and then I'll probably just run 2 shrines. Thank you so much, everybody, for popping in. I hope I was at least somewhat entertaining, or the content was interesting. And I will catch everybody around. Peace.